Hi, welcome to Chiselbury Presents again. My name's Stuart Leesall, founder of Chiselbury Publishing. I'm with Chris Parker again, one of my authors, and we're going to talk about a number of things. He has 4 books published with us at the moment, with one coming out on the 1st of October. So Chris, you've got a wide variety of books ranging from, Oriental sayings to self-help to a vengeful person working on behalf of the Catholic Church. Tell us, how did you come to have so many different books, and tell us a little about why you come to them.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you for publishing me and for this interview. It's great for us to work together. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate your creative input very much. So the answer to your question is, I guess everything grows out. I think as writers, we have certain interests or certain perceptions of the world, and things grow out of that. I think everything we write, I think, is some form of indication of where the writer's at in terms of how they either view themselves, or they view people, or they view the planet, or they view life. And I just think that's true regardless, and or of course their experience. So I know that you publish many books, brilliant books that are so timely and relevant, that let us look back at things that happened in World War II, for example, and goodness knows, personally, I feel that we should be remembering lessons from that time, and the men and women who sacrificed and served at that time. And I have a great thing about service. So to answer your question directly, I write about the things that matter to me.
No, fair enough.
So my poetry book, The City Fox, the complete collection that you published, is actually 2 previously published collections, with the 3rd book, if you like, collection that was never published, added to it. And it's really a story about community and about communication and about people. And the poem that started that book, which is called Community Centre, is based on a true story. There's a petrol station within 300 metres of my home, and a fox just started appearing off some sort of woodland area near to it, and the people at the petrol station appeared one night, they fed it, and it started coming back.
My missus wasn't there, but she always feeds foxes.
Right, well, she would have loved this, because the people who fed the fox then told the regular people who came to the petrol station, who came back more and more wanting to see the fox.
Yeah.
And of course the fox then came back because,
exactly,
interactive feedback loop, and so on. And I was like fascinated by this story. Because, and it's like with most poetry, you almost start with a premise or a feeling or a sense or something. And I think the last line in that poem is, that it takes just one city fox to create a community, or just something else.
Yeah.
And that was the bit, it's just something else.
It is.
And we need community as human beings. So I ended up, and bless you, we've got a 190-word poetry book. It's got different stories about different individuals within the community who are imaginary, of course, although Basil the Fox isn't. But it's all about how we seek to create community and relationships, and the importance of communication in doing that, and the role that nature plays in reminding us that we're a part of nature, and how we make things so complicated and nature doesn't. So the bird can sing in the garden perfectly, and I'm trying to write a poem and I'm struggling like mad to get it out. And you hang on, why does the bird do it perfectly and I'm struggling?
Yeah.
What,
the bird had struggled before.
I know, like my beautiful Staffordshire Bull Terrier Sam, he'd just give you love. Why do I feel awkward sometimes?
Yeah.
And so on and so on and so on. So that's a thing that interests me, because my professional area of work, and it's more than just professional, it's communication, influence. Obviously, I write as well. And then you go into Pi Khan, and you talked about my apocryphal Persian mystic who lived in the late 1800s and died Battle of Verdun in the First World War. He's sort of addressing the same things. I started a meditation practice in 1976 because of my martial arts guru, who I met in 1976, who also, because of how he could read and understand and influence people, completely made me realise I was a teacher, a student at the time of education. I was going to be a teacher, and I met this man who could just read and influence people amazingly, and was very spiritual. And I went to my university lecturer and said, one of the modules in communication influence? And they said, don't be silly. And this was 1976. So I went, don't be silly, just study Piaget.
Yeah.
Right. But I was like, no, I want to learn about this. So that set me off, if you like, on a life's course and on a martial arts course. And those things sort of merged to create Upaya Khan. You know, I've been meditating on a daily basis in different forms now since 1976. And, you know, it's quite a few decades.
Yeah.
I'm practicing breathing exercises since the early 1980s on a daily basis. And so, you know, you get influenced by the things that you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And very influenced by my teacher, who's a very special human being, who wouldn't want me to name him now. And so Upaya Khan grew out of that. But it still comes back to communication, influence, community. Who am I as a human being? How do I relate best to you? And then we sort of move on, and we got into the novels and the Celebrant that you published for me, thank you so much. I began work on that 13.5 years ago, and it was called Glimmer, and it was based on an Upaya Khan quote, and of course Upaya Khan's me, right? And Upaya Khan had written a quote, listen to me, yes, that's how confused,
a mystic quote,
that's how confused I am.
It came divine.
No, it really didn't, but it was like Upaya Khan's, you know, I got this Upaya Khan quote, you know, I'm always alert to that. You know, we can't judge people or life or events by a casual glance, and many of us do.
We discussed that last time we met together.
Yes, we did.
The people we don't see, isn't it? Or whatever. I think it was something.
In
when you walk on the street,
it's the
you
people we don't see.
Yeah.
But of course, we give casual glances all the time because our perception filters go. I haven't got the energy to really get to know you, and of course we haven't.
Yeah.
But also, what's true is we give casual glances to people that we live with every day because we've got used to them. That's tragic. That's tragic.
Yeah.
You know, like, familiarity, it doesn't create contempt, it can create blindness, in my experience. So, you know, the thing about the Celebrant then, which was connected to Upaya Khan, which connected to my study and my practice, my personal practice, was like, it's a book about the people we don't see because we don't see it. So, you know, it's about a guy and you go, oh, he's just a drunk in a pub who's very good at quizzing.
Yeah.
And then you find out, and his mates are just drunks in a pub who are very good at quizzing. And then you find out there's more and more and more. And then, of course, it leads into becoming.
And that's probably like the people we see every day.
Every day.
It is actually every day.
And
they're much more simple than a bloke sleeping in an old sleeping bag on the side of the road.
And you go, what's the story?
Yeah.
What's the real story? What's the humanity?
Yeah.
And the Celebrant, of course, becomes a very unusual murder mystery sort of, you know, there's somebody killing people and our hero has to, for whatever reasons, go and find out who it is, and it does that. And then Monk, which I wrote before the Celebrant, which is the first in a series of books that, thank you, you're going to be publishing, the Dark Steps series. Monk's the story of a man known as Raphael Ward, who runs a protection dog business. He trains protection dogs, who actually is a member of a particular elite secret service unit, if you like, for the Roman Catholic Church. And the people in this unit are mystics and assassins and spies. And much of what they do is to hunt down and retrieve lost artifacts and pieces of art that the church lost, particularly during the Second World War, to return to church.
And particularly ones that don't necessarily fit their narrative.
Absolutely.
Like, which is, I think, is a parable for today about, you know, politics all over, of every kind. Does it fit the narrative? And if it doesn't fit the narrative, let's get rid of it.
Absolutely. And so my guy's there in disguise. And if you like, it's a bit like, again, as I say, I think writers just go back to common themes. You know, you could see, for me, there's a connection between Raphael Ward in The Monk, as the monk, he is the monk, and the celebrant. It's a story about people we don't see. We don't see that Raphael Ward isn't just an elite trainer of protection dogs. And he's, in the story, he's pulled in by his Roman Catholic handler. And you know, I had to say, I was playing with the idea that this man who trained protection dogs had a handler who told him go search, fetch, kill, bring. And the story is about the fact that
Mia the dog
is his personal, his personally well-trained dog. Right, absolutely, a Dutch. A Dutch herder, a female Dutch herder, who was based on an actual dog that I met. I spent a great deal of time. I was very lucky. I was invited to go and learn with police dog training handlers, West Midlands Police Dog Training Centre, about how they train dogs and what it means to train dogs and understanding the whole process. And I met there the dog that Mia was based on. She was actually based on a real dog. I've got photos of her on my phone.
It shows, we've written about, you had spoken earlier on the previous thing about conversation with Sam, and you've got Mia.
Yeah, absolutely.
You are a dog man.
I'm a dog
man myself. So and cat people switch off now. But although we love
to be fair, Louis, my cat, is in conversations with my dog, but it's about the dog.
But it is, you know, and I think there is that certain empathy with people who have had a good dog and loved a dog, and they realise there is that incredible love that they give that is unanswerable.
If I may, I'll just read the opening quotes to the book that really I think you just set me up to do. And the first is an Apply Calm quote, wouldn't it be? And it says, reality exists in the space between two people.
Yep.
And the second quote says, or in the space between a person and their dog. And that's Sam the dog talking.
And it could even be stronger. The latter is
that powerful thing. So the thing about Monk, I guess the twist, I wrote Monk because I feel that men are in charge of the world, and pretty much they're doing a terrible, they've done I'll say this politely, an awful job. I don't want to say it politely, but I will. And so, and I mean that in every organisational hierarchy and power system. So there was a situation in the 80s where science developed carbon dating testing, and they said to the Roman Catholic Church, let us carbon date test the shroud of Turin. Because if it carbon dates to the right time, it is.
It is. It's probably. Yeah.
And if it goes to 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th century, the time of great fakery, and the church put it off for a long time and then went yes, and it dated to the wrong time, so it was obviously a fake. And when that happened, I mean, because this story's been around for a long time, this series of stories have been around for a long time, I was like, oh, okay. So what if the church knew that was the fake, because they'd lost the real shroud of Turin during the Second World War, because the Nazis had got it as they got other stuff, but the church could never admit to that. And so the best thing they could do in the end was go, okay, we'll let you carbon date something we know is a fake, and then we can just say it's all about faith.
Yeah.
Whilst our Secret Service people, my guy who's the best of the lot, Raphael Ward, are out there searching for it. And in the book, Monk, he's told by his handler, we think we know where the real shroud of Turin is, go fetch. And he goes to fetch, like a well-trained thing. But what's also happening with Raphael Ward is because he's a mystic, he's meditating daily, he's been influenced by his teachers who are mystics. He's struggling more and more to understand why the church would ask him to kill in the name of Jesus.
Yeah, that comes through right through the book.
And he's really this cognitive dissonance is playing with him more and more and more. And of course he uncovers the real shroud of Turin that he believes he's got, and that creates tension. And then there's an ending to the book where he because he feels he's recovered the real shroud of Turin and lost it irreversibly, I won't say how. And then at the end of the book, he's introduced to the real shroud of Turin, which is absolutely not what he expected. and it's not owned by the church. And he knows then that for him, the world can never be the same again. And the Roman Catholic Church, and he resigns his job within this secret service, and the Roman Catholic Church, of course, at that point go, we can't have it, we have to go after it.
Chris, I'm going to stop you there. Thank you very much for your fascinating take on your various books you've got, and I can't wait to the sequel coming in February or very soon afterwards. Anyway, join us again on Chiselbury Presents in the near future. Thanks for joining.
Thanks.